to you, Amy Hall, and hello to our viewers and followers out there. My name is Leah, and today we're going to talk a little bit about getting established and being successful online. So Amy, again, thank you for being here and for sharing your knowledge with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
Yes, we know you're busy, and we really appreciate it. So, and it's actually personally a special treat for me because I find what you do very interesting, and also that it's interesting that what you do, your website and your business are devoted to helping others set up their websites and run their business basically online. So it's especially.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like an online business manager.
Yeah.
But I just do the digital marketing end of that.
Okay, all right. So yeah, before we get into exactly what you do and everything, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started doing it?
I have been like an administrative assistant or a retail manager for a very long time. That's basically what I've done. I worked on computers back when they had mainframes that took up whole rooms. And then I stopped doing that, had kids, and then once my kids were a little bit older, I stopped being a stay-at-home mom and I started doing admin stuff. I have been an admin, personal assistant, executive assistant for probably the past 20 years. And when I wasn't doing admin stuff, I was a retail manager. I was a retail manager for about 5 years. And how I got into what I do is my husband is a WordPress developer, and he developed a network of 60 websites before they had WordPress multi-user, which allows you to put all of the login. It's kind of an umbrella thing. So you could put 60 sites under basically one site. So this was way back on, I think it was 1.5 or 1.6.5, and now we're on 4.2, 4.3. I don't know. I don't even know which one we're on anymore. Oh no, 4.1.6. That's what we're on. So I've been using WordPress exclusively for the past 8 years, and been using MailChimp exclusively for the past 8 years. Those are the softwares that I use. Mm-hmm. And building websites, my husband's a developer. I do all the heavy lifting. So I don't do the coding. My husband does the coding, but I do everything else in the site. So do the content, write the content, put the content in, do all the optimization, choose images, put the images in, anything that you need done with a website, I can do. So plugins, whatever you need done with a WordPress website, I can do.
All right. Wonderful.
And I just started helping him out. Sorry, I just started helping him out, and it turns out I was better than he was at it. So that's how I got into business.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. So you mentioned WordPress. Can you elaborate what that is and some of the comparable platforms to it?
So WordPress is a software that you can use to build a website. It's an open source software, so that means the software itself does not cost any money, and it's community sourced. So there's security issues, then the community will source the fixes. If they want to improve the platform at all, the community sources the fixes. So it's really a very, very cool platform. I don't think that there is anything out there that matches it, that matches what WordPress can do for search engine optimization. The only platform that comes close, in my opinion, is Squarespace. But Wix sucks. That's why Wix rhymes with sucks, because it does. It's horrible. And they've stolen WordPress code to make some of their platform bases. So yeah, and then GoDaddy just sucks also. Don't do anything with GoDaddy except buy domain names.
Good to know. Good to know.
So yeah, WordPress, then Squarespace.
Okay.
Because you need that SEO to get found, and that's what they're both good at, is SEO.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So what are some of the mistakes or problems that your clients run into when they're trying to originally build and also maintain their websites?
So I deal more with what happens when they maintain their website. The builds, since we build for people, we don't have the issue with people coming to me. Actually, that's not true. I do have that issue with people coming to me. In fact, I just dealt with this twice. People coming to me with builds that are not finished. And basically, they're having issues with their developer. Their developer does not understand what they want or need. And that one of the major issues is their developer is not business-minded. Their developer isn't a developer. They're designers, so they make things beautiful. They don't make things work within the business model that these people have chosen. So there's a difference between a beautiful site. Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily only marketing. It's a lot of times it's where you place things on a site. The very first thing you want to tell people when they go on your website, what should they do on your website? You want to tell them what to do, right? You don't want to give them something ambiguous and have 4 or 5 different places for them to go, because people want to be single-minded, single-focused, or at the very most have 3 emphases that they can see, do, touch. And the designers that I've had to take over from don't have that business mind. They don't know that they need a call to action above the fold on a website. I'm like, holy crap, you have a website to get business. That's why you have a website. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to get business when above the fold is just a beautiful picture and you sell t-shirts? Not going to work.
Yes. You
got to have something there where people can click, go to, do something so that they get sent down the sales funnel.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I think that's one of the worst things that can happen to people, is that their website actually does not support sales for their business.
Oh, okay. So does that include like data, being able to process data like sales and delivery and all that stuff?
So if you're talking about an e-commerce site, a lot of e-commerce sites that I see, it's hard to find. It's actually hard to find the products on the site. They don't have an immediate lead in for the products, which is what I see when people only have 1 or 2 products that they're selling. You know, when they're very limited, their front page doesn't have necessarily blinding, blaring in your face links to their products. So yeah, usually the sites that I get, if they're e-commerce, and I don't deal with very many e-commerce sites, do well with the carts and everything like that, because we have WooCommerce that we can use. So they're usually set up well. The issue is usually the home page does not support the business model.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. That kind of leads me into.
That sounds a little.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. I was just going to say that kind of leads into my next question about, and I know we can't spend a whole lot of time on this because it could go on for days, but about the psychology of design and picking what you're going to put on your front page and demographics, things like that.
So the very first thing that you need on your front page is something that shows people, number one, what your site is, number one, what you do, what your site is there for, and what they can do on your site. If the very first thing you want is they see a beautiful the picture is all about t-shirts, and you can click on the t-shirt to buy it. But a lot of people just, they don't think as a consumer when they're building their site. They think of being on their site. So they are thinking, what can I sell? What can I, what do I want to sell you, instead of as a I need, what problems am I going to solve by purchasing from you, either purchasing your service or purchasing your product. And you always want to start from a pain point. And so the psychology of that is that you have to look at your site as a customer. You can never look at your site as it's yours, because it's not yours, even though you own it. It's not your site. It's your customer site. It has to be useful for your customer. So basically, you have to take off the owner glass, consumer glass. That has to do with, there's a lot of psychology with colors. You can go out and look at all sorts of stuff, colors on sites. You can invoke so many feelings on a site, and certain businesses need to invoke certain colors. It's not good for a business if you're like an attorney. Yeah, using probably a beautiful orange wouldn't go for an attorney because that's up and vibrant. And with attorney, you need trust immediately. So you want to use blue because that's the color of trust, and it invokes trust when people see it. So, I mean, there's all of that kind of psychology too, but mostly not as the owner of the site.
I see. All right. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That was great. In addition to WordPress, you also, like you said, use MailChimp and set up MailChimp for people. Can you explain to us also what that is and why it's a good idea to utilize something like that?
Okay, so MailChimp is a third-party email service. And basically, you want to use a third-party email service instead of sending out from your Gmail or your own domain name, because if people mark you as spam and you're using like info at your domain name, and enough people mark you as spam, they can actually shut your website down. They can blacklist your website. It's not fun to undo. Oh yeah, completely. It's not fun to undo. I've had to undo it a couple of times for clients. Yeah. So that's why you want to use an ESP like MailChimp. ESP is email service provider. Sorry, I didn't mean to be jargony. Because if you get reported as spam, you're closing them down instead of closing yourself down. Okay? You never want to send from your own domain name on your private email server. Always send through an ESP, just for that reason. And you can get beautiful, beautiful emails that are very flexible. All of MailChimp emails are mobile responsive, so they look really good on mobile phones. They look good on tablets. They look good on desktops, and you just don't have to do 3 different emails to get them to look good on all the devices. You do one email and it looks good on every single device. Yeah, it's responsive. It's really nice.
All right. So does MailChimp also contribute in any way to online presence, as far as maybe links to social media or anything like
that? If I'm understanding you correctly, no. Inside your newsletter to your social media, so therefore people can go follow you on social media, or they can share your articles, newsletter articles on social media. But it sounds like what you're saying is, will your online footprint grow larger because of MailChimp? Will it help you? No, not really. It might help you like this much.
So it's more for
Google did say at one time that they were looking at, yes. Well, and it's your marketing tool. So just because you have a website doesn't mean people are going to come there. So you have to promote your website. You promote your website with your blog. You always want to be changing the content on your website, because Google likes fresh content, because they're really not a search engine. They're in the business of selling ads. So they want the newest, best content so they can sell their ads. So they want you to redo your content all the time on your website. Usually most people will send out their website content, their blog, in their newsletter to promote the blog, so that people go from the newsletter to the blog and visit their website.
I see.
You want to, that's one of the reasons why you have a newsletter, is so that people will go to your website. The other reason is to keep you in front of people. You know, sometimes people have sales cycles that are a month, and sometimes people have sales cycles that could be 2-3 years long. If you're a real estate agent, your sales cycle for some people could be a month. Your sales cycle for some people could be 5 years. And what do you do in that 5 years if you haven't talked to people on a regular basis? Well, that your email marketing has you be in front of people on a regular basis. And that's how you get those touches, so that people remember you when they want to use your product or services.
Right. Okay, so you mentioned online content, and that's another one of your services you offer, correct? Is that content marketing and management?
Yes, writing, management, formatting, editing, anything you want done with your content, I can do. I'm your girl.
All right. Does that the content you have on your website, how does that I guess grow your online presence? Like,
so how does it grow your online list? Is that what you said?
No, your presence. Like how?
Oh, how does it grow your okay, so like I said a little bit earlier, is Google wants you to change your website content on a regular basis. The easiest, quickest, fastest way to do that is with a blog post. Google just wants new stuff on your site all the time. And that's how you're going to get pushed out, is by having new stuff on your site. And making sure that it's keyworded to what people are searching for you, the terms that people are searching for products and services like yours on. So if you're always updating content, if you're promoting your content via social media, email marketing, and if you're doing guest blogging in places, you're going to have enough traffic on a regular basis to have people visit your website on a regular basis and get the phone ringing and get sales from that.
Okay, so that's the biggest one, is just updating the content continuously, or having a portion of content updated.
Yes, there's a lot more to digital marketing than just that, but that is like the crux of the whole thing. That's like the, if you're going to envision a wheel, your website is the hub of the wheel. And then your email marketing and your social media marketing and your guest blogging and doing podcasts like this and that kind of stuff, those are the spokes. And you have to have them all to have that wheel actually work. If you just had the hub, you know, the wheel would collapse, because there's no wheel without all the spokes.
Right. All right. Can you elaborate a little bit on the social media part as well for us? Social media marketing.
So social media, there's like two, not tenets, but two parts of social media. In my opinion, I'm sure people are going, no, there's more than that. There's a relationship end of social media, and then there's the marketing end of social media, the promotion end. The promotion end is done with adding links to your own social media accounts, sharing them with everybody who is connected to your account, so that they can see what you have provide to them. What valuable information can you give them that will benefit them? And then there's also ads that you can do on social media that will market your website. And that's the promotion. But the relationship building is also very, very important, because where I've gotten the most benefit from social media in terms of furthering my own business is through the groups that I belong to. I belong to a bunch of LinkedIn groups and a bunch of Facebook groups. And the benefit of those groups are amazing, exponential, because you have people that are like-minded in those groups. You get to know, like, and trust people there. They get to know, like, and trust you, and then they hire you eventually. Nice.
Yes, that's always good. All right. Let's see, we covered blogs and online visibility there. Do you have any more tips on search engines or keywords, that sort of thing?
So the one thing that I always tell people that people are amazed to hear sometimes is that use the terms that people use for you. Don't use the term that you use for you. So attorneys call each other attorneys. They don't call each other lawyers. Lay people call attorneys lawyers. So when they're searching, they will search for a lawyer. They will not search for an attorney. Physicians call each other physicians. Lay people call physicians doctors. So when they're searching, they will search for a doctor, not a physician. But a physician will always use the word physician. Why? Because they've paid, $1 million for their degree, and they put a lot of money into it.
The title, yeah.
So, yeah. So you have to just look at, like, that's one of the keys. You have to look at what people search for. If I had a client that was a plumber. He kept on doing things, plumbing. And the only people who search for plumbing are do-it-yourselfers. So when we changed him over to plumber, what would a plumber do? We did a big, huge series of articles. What would a plumber do? And when we did that, he was found much more often because people are searching for a plumber to fix their drain. They're not searching for plumbing, even though his business was John Jones Plumbing. So it's really subtle. The little tiny tweaks that you can make that make huge, 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 huge differences in getting found. Sometimes it's a little weird.
But whatever works, huh?
And that's it too. That's the thing, is whatever works. A lot of people will say, oh, I have these 20 keywords that I need to be found for. No, really? You have 2 or 3 that you really need to be found for. And then you have sub keywords where people, if they're solving problems, if they need to solve a pain point, if they need to solve a problem, they'll find you with. But you really need to key, you have 2 or 3 that you really need to key yourself for.
Okay, that's good to know. Do you get very much into analytics for people, or is that something you stay away from? As far as
no, I love analytics. Analytics rock, as long as you don't get too far down the rabbit hole. You have to be more than just surface. You have to go underneath the surface, but you can't go too far down the rabbit hole, because then you get stuck doing minutia, and that's not good either. In fact, yesterday I had a client who I'm taking over for her designer, because her designer is not moving forward on her site. And she is having a really bad problem. She uses Mac and she uses Safari as her browser. She has a really bad problem with her site on that browser. It looks horrible to her. So I went, okay, so right. Mac users are maybe 10% of the users out there. And a lot of Mac users are now using Chrome instead of Safari. And so Mac users using Safari are probably 1% of the people that are going to her website. And then I went, 1% of the people going to your website, it's probably only you. And here, let's go into your analytics and back this up. And what did we get? The majority of her users are PC Chrome, and then the majority of her Mac users are Chrome. Exactly what I said. It was exactly what was going on. So pretty nice that I was like, dang, I know what I'm talking about without even, I had seen her site before, but I'd never been in her analytics. So it was pretty nice that I could pull that out of my hat.
Right. Well, when you have, lots of experience under your belt, you can kind of guess those things after that, huh?
Well, and cross-browser compatibility is one of those things that is just, it's horrible nowadays, because we have so many operating systems with all the devices that we have. We have so many operating systems, and then we have so many browsers that we can be on, and it just gets to be a pain. So she was concerned about money. And I said, you know, we can go fix it. We can do the cross-browser compatibility and make sure that it's fixed for Mac on Safari. And is that going to be the best return on your money, on your investment? You know, it would be better for you to spend that money getting more content, because really the people who are browsing for your site on that are very few and far in between. And she's a sales coach and does sales training. And so she does corporate sales training. And so most corporations don't have Macs because they're too cheap to buy Macs. So there you go. Viewed her with. So there you go.
Speaking of different browsers and platforms, do you come across a lot of customers who contact you regarding they have a different platform other than WordPress and they're having lots of problems? Are you able to switch over someone like that to a WordPress website without a whole lot of issues, or would it be a pretty seamless process to do something like that?
It kind of depends. I used to get more. I get less now. And it kind of depends on the site. If it's an old HTML site, which is mostly what I get, it can be really easy because you can, with all there's got to be 100,000 WordPress themes. There's going to be one that probably mimics an old HTML website, because WordPress mimicked the old HTML templates to begin with. So we're going to find something that's going to mimic their site, and we can just basically port it all over pretty quickly and easily when it's HTML. But when it's something like Wix, which nobody should ever have a Wix website if they ever want to be found on the internet, that's not an easy fix. That's really a tough fix because it doesn't port over well. They don't play nice. They don't, basically we have to go in and redo everything from scratch.
Oh, wow.
We can get the HTML files and port over the HTML files for the individual blog posts, but that's because on a Wix site, the blog is a blogger blog, and we can do a blogger blog. We can transport it WordPress. There's ways to do that, but yeah, the actual Wix website. No, Wix sucks. Don't use it ever.
All right. Good to know.
I've worked on them. It's not fun. Yeah, if you're going to use something other than WordPress, use Squarespace.
Squarespace?
So, yeah, okay. Squarespace. Right. I haven't ever worked on it because it just doesn't make logic to me, but go WordPress. WordPress is the way to go.
All right. So is there anything being an expert in WordPress and the MailChimp, is there any features that you think you would add to those services to make them better, improve them?
That's hard to say. I put a lot of bells and whistles on just about everything I do. Either I put browser extensions on that will give me more capabilities inside of WordPress. So I really can't say. Sorry. I'm sorry, say it again.
I was just saying, so there's always that option out there to add to WordPress whatever you need, like by using plugins and things like that?
Yes, there's tons of plugins, and you have to watch your plugins because now with Google going mobile first, speed is going to be of the essence. So the less plugins you have in your site, the less resources your site will take. A lot of sites, the plugins go to an outside. They go to a standalone, something that's standing alone. They go to a standalone platform. So they're going from your site to that standalone platform to get that information, to bring it back into your site. And you're trying to open that site up quickly, and it's got to go ping pong, ping pong. It takes too long. I've had to rethink how I do subscription forms because of that. The service that I absolutely loved has a standalone. It's not standalone. Has a you have to go outside of the website to go get some of the information, and so it takes longer for that to open. So, yeah, it slows down the website, creates issues according to Google Speed. I mean, I just read an article that said 400 milliseconds can make a difference whether people bounce off your website. I'm like, oh my God, you can't even blink in 400 milliseconds. That's crazy.
Yes,
but then I looked at, now I'm rethinking what I need to do with forms. Not fun. Not fun.
Improvise from here on out.
Well, and I had a service that I absolutely loved, but it was a third-party service that you put in the plugin to, and then they had to go back to their servers to get some information to render the form properly. And so just that little tiny millisecond that they're using to go back to their servers to render the forms properly was putting a drag on the site. So yeah.
So may I ask what's...
Now I got to figure it out.
Oh, have you come up with anything yet?
No, not yet. Because a lot of the pop-up forms use outside resources to do the pop-up, to render it cleanly and clearly. So no, yes, I don't have a new resource yet.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking at one with from WPMU. We'll see how that goes.
All right.
So.
All right, Amy. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you. Do you have any additional advice or anything you'd like to tell us at our club here or our viewers today before we sign off?
Well, one of the questions that you had sent me was, do you know how to code, and do you think it's the skills necessary to run an online business? And to be honest with you, there are like so many different codes that you could do. There's like 100 or plus codes that you can do. I can code this much, seriously, this much in all of the codes in the world. WordPress uses HTML, CSS, PHP, and 40 others. Oh, Java. I can do HTML and CSS, so I can code this much. I think coding has nothing to do with running an online business. What I really think online business takes is strategy. You have to know what your business model is and then follow your business model. And when I say that, a business model is how are you delivering your products or sales to people? You have to figure that out to begin with, and then start your site and follow your business model inside of that site. If you're doing e-commerce, you need to build an e-commerce site to begin with instead of building a site and then putting an e-commerce module in. Start with the e-commerce first. If that's your end business model is to do e-commerce, start with the e-commerce first. So, yeah, I just think it's all about the strategy and your business model. think business, don't think pretty. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And does branding have a lot to do with that as well?
Oh, completely. Everything has to be branded so that people know who you are in an instant. Your website has to be branded. Your newsletters have to be branded. Your Facebook, social media, everything has to be branded. Everything. Because that's who you are. I mean, no matter what, everything is a brand nowadays.
Right.
I am now a brand. Just how it is.
That's great. Yeah. How do you feel personally about just having your brand out there and being successful at what you do? And I'm sure you enjoy it, obviously, but I mean, I feel like I would feel very accomplished, and I just really respect what you do too.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Well, my dad was sick a little while ago. He was in the hospital for a week. And I kind of had to, I've had to move into his house. So I am really, really thankful that the work that I do allows me to work from anywhere. And that's like it being here in his house instead of being at my own house, but being here and being in his house and being able to do what I do. And this is my busy time of year. Seems like everybody wants to get everything done before the end of the year. That's what helps me feel successful and accomplished, and also very satisfied with what I do because I'm able to be here for him. And I just had a new granddaughter. She's 10 miles away now. Now I get to be here for her and change diapers.
That's good.
So that's one of the wonderful, wonderful benefits of working digitally is you can work from anywhere. Thank God.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, that's
Except don't try to work for Yosemite.
I'm sorry, say that last part again.
I'm sorry. I said don't try to work from Yosemite because the self-service there sucks really bad.
Oh, all right. Good to know.
You're not supposed to be doing that in Yosemite.
Yeah, no, I agree about the whole mobile working digitally and everything, because that's really how the world is going these days. So.
Well, yeah, with the political climate that we have right now, it was very interesting. I just read an article about our new president wants to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. And I just read an article that said, well, we have a higher output of manufactured goods now than we did 10 years ago when we had more manufacturing jobs, because there is more technology, and that technology allows us to get more done in less time. So as a nation, we're actually going to have to look at, what do we do now? How do we get everybody fed? How do we get everybody housed? Knowing that we have this technology that's supporting us. We don't have to work hard anymore. We need to start working smart. Well, that's a huge, I think that's a huge issue that's going to come up in the future. What do we do? Do we stay working 40 hours a week, or do we now go down to 30 hours a week because we have so much technology?
Right.
I'm in politics, but it's a really interesting thing because I do what I do. It's a really interesting subject to me.
Yes.
That's my soapbox.
I wish we had more time too. We would get into that as well. But
well, it has been lovely.
What's that?
It has been lovely talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and you too. It's been a pleasure. And again, we appreciate you being here. And yeah, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.